The Trim Surface tool can be used to trim various surfaces using either sketches or other surfaces as the trimming tool. And the Untrim Surface tool allows you to extend a surface past where it's bounded by, or its bounding edge. So to start, I'll go ahead and open up the Trim Surface tool. And I'm going to start with this option called Mutual, and this allows you to select multiple surfaces out at once. And then in the secondary selection box, you can choose whether to keep certain selections or remove selections. In general, you want to avoid using the Mutual tool, as it can tend to be a bit buggy. You tend to get a lot better results with the standard trim type. In this case, you can choose to keep a certain selection, and as you hover over different areas, it'll show you what you can and cannot select. So I'll say remove selections and choose this inside face and this side of this outside face. And that removes those two things out. As I stated before, you can also trim with a sketch. So for example, if I draw a spline across and choose the trim surface and choose that standard option, I can choose this as the trim tool. And I can remove out this bottom section if I want. You can also trim with a closed sketch. So for example, with this circle, I can choose this as the trim tool and maybe say keep selections and choose this inside face. And that'll remove out the outside of that surface. Once again, in the standard option, you can also use a surface as the trim tool. And remove those various sections out. And you can also trim using a 3D sketch. Although keep in mind, those typically have to be on the surface that they're cutting, or they have to project well onto that surface. So if I draw a spline on this top surface, I can once again trim this and remove out or keep any selections that I want. On the flip side, if you have a trimmed surface, the untrimmed surface is fairly straightforward. You can see that it remembers the exact selection that we had there before, and it's going to bring that back together. Similarly on the outside, we can extend off this edge. And typically with a shape like this, even if you haven't created this using the trim tool, you should get the same untrim option. And you also have the option of merging with the original or leaving these two faces as separate entities. And as I stated before, with the untrim tool, the untrim doesn't necessarily require that the geometry came from a trimmed surface. So in this case, this surface was created using a extrude thin and a cutting operation, and then a surface offset to give us a surface to work with. I could also have a simple extrusion, transfer over the face, and it'll simply allow me to untrim this. Both these tools are fairly powerful, and as you work with surfaces, you'll find them both to be quite useful in getting the desired geometry.